The trailer then cuts to the Viking Hall in Norway. Now this looks to be the same hall we've seen from one of the gameplay screenshots we've been provided before, which leads me to believe that this might all be part of the starting area of the game. However, Eivor in this picture seems to have some pretty decent gear on, which kind of throws me off. However, they might have just chosen this outfit for the marketing purposes of the game to avoid any confusion, so we can easily identify Eivor in all the screenshots. Then we cut to a feast taking place. Now I could be wrong about this, but this feast might actually be taking place in England and not Norway, as many people have speculated. Now I say this as we get two different shots of a feast and both of these environments look very different to each other. The only similarity is the fire pit, which is much smaller in the first shot. You can also see that the first shot is very dimly lit as compared to the second one, where you can make out much more detail and Viking carvings all over. Now the first shot of the feast could of course be further down the hall, but another little detail that throws me off is the design of the throne. It just doesn't look very Viking to me. It almost looks identical to what King Alfred was sitting on in the first CGI trailer, but then again, the NPCs are wearing fur, which makes my mind jump straight back to Vikings again. Who knows, maybe King Alfred will invite the Vikings for a feast before killing them all during the main story, similar to the Red Wedding. But then yet again, this could be potentially a conquered fortress by the Vikings, and they're basically feasting in the throne room. Now speaking of the second feast, we know that very early in the game Eivor is going to meet the Hidden Ones and receive the Hidden Blade. Now this leads me to believe it could happen during this feast, as from the gameplay and screenshots it looks like the hall is located in the wilderness, which just speaks secrecy to me. We also see that Eivor is joining the feast quite late, since all the shots of him outside the hall are during the night. It wouldn't be too far-fetched to assume as one of the early missions you must make your way through the wilderness to the Great Hall for the last feast before setting sail for England in the morning. The trailer then cuts to a shot of a statue of Thor with lightning in the background. We saw in the cinematic trailer a ritual taking place including Eivor before the statue of Thor, so this could be a sacrificial ritual to bring good fortunes on their adventure to sail to England. Maybe this will be the first shot we see the Hidden Blade in game, as it might be used to sacrifice something to the Norse gods. Now, if everything we saw in the trailer is in chronological order, my theory would line up here as we see Eivor wearing the Hidden Blade for the first time. Now, we do know from different sources that you'll be able to customize your Hidden Blade in some way. Now, my hope is that they will let us customize the Hidden Blade quite a bit, as it's so prominently displayed on top of your wrist in this game, making it, of course, much more visible. Then we cut to the scene where we get our first look at tattoo customization. Looks like you'll be able to have tattoos all over your upper body. Now we don't know if these are predetermined locations or if you can place them freehand anywhere you want. Once again, we see the Hidden Blade in the shot, suggesting once again that we get the Hidden Blade early on in the game. Up next, we see our ship leaving for England. If you don't know, you'll be able to fully customize the ship and your raiding party in the game, hopefully with different outfits and themes similar to how it was in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. As our ship is leaving Norway, we get our potential first look at what is the playable part of Norway, or the starting area of the game. I assume at the beginning of the game this part will act as a bit of a tutorial to get yourself familiar with the new mechanics before setting sail on your adventure to raid England. Here we see our first in-game look at England, with all of the different terrains and biomes for us to explore. This actually reminds me a lot of The Witcher 3, the No Man's Land, with the different landmarks in the distance to catch your eye. We also see a river on the left side, which you will be able to traverse using your ship in Valhalla, which is a big part of the exploration of this game. Then we see a lone Saxon soldier with a banner overlooking a city and a castle on the hill. Now I wonder if this could potentially be the invasion of York, which was occupied by the Viking forces at the time. Now throughout the trailer we see banners and war horns showcased, but I do wonder if they will act as a morale boost for your friendly troops in battle. That would be an interesting gameplay mechanic, and potentially the ability to take out enemy banner bearers in order to break the enemy force. That I think would add a lot of depth to the gameplay. Up next we see the clash of the two different cultures. We see a Saxon soldier praying in the ruined temple, followed by a shot of a Viking ritual site, or a place of power. It's gotta be. Following that, we see Stonehenge and a time-lapse of the day and night cycle with dynamic weather being showcased here as well with the different cloud formations. Up next, we see a large Saxon force fully geared, ready for battle inside a castle, as well as a shot of what I assume might be a major character. Now, I don't think this is an in-game look at Alfred the Great, as in the cinematic trailer he had facial hair. Now, I think this could be one of the rulers of the other Saxon kingdoms, but there's just no way to confirm this at the time of the recording of this video. With England being divided into different kingdoms, I don't think it would be too far-fetched to assume that you would have to take down some of the other rulers before you clash with Alfred the Great at the end of the game for the final showdown. But once again, there's just no way to confirm that just yet, so this is just kind of my speculation. After that, all hell breaks loose, as we see a raid of a castle or a fort taking place with Eivor sounding the war horn, which hopefully will have some form of a gameplay effect. We then cut to Eivor sprinting through a burning village towards a Saxon soldier before jump kicking him in the face, which I assume will be one of our finishing moves. We see a city being besieged by the Viking forces, and we know in this game you'll be able to raid villages, towns, forts, and large cities. Hopefully you'll be able to defend those settlements from counterattacks too. Now my question is, how the hell is that battering ram getting through? There's quite a few things in the way. I just don't understand the tactics here. We quickly snap back to Eivor tackling a Saxon soldier to the ground before using his fist to finish him off, showing the new visceral combat the developers were talking about, because we see Eivor use his fist quite a lot in this trailer instead of obviously using traditional weapons, so I do wonder if he will be more of a melee type character, or maybe the RPG elements will let you spec him however you want, which I think is going to be the case. Bows are returning to the game once again. I'm no bow expert, but this looks like some form of a longbow that Eivor is using when besieging the castle. We quickly cut to the shot of the battling ram breaking through the gate. Now the look of the battling ram has changed, which makes me think that this is a different invasion taking place, but the trailer just stitched them all together to make it look like one massive siege. Then we see Eivor and the other Viking raiders storming through the gate in numbers to overwhelm the city. This is definitely giving me some For Honor vibes. Up next, we see Eivor again dual wielding and throwing axes, which we saw a glimpse of in the cinematic trailer. Now this definitely looks like a finishing move as he throws two axes into two different targets, linked by quite a sophisticated animation. After that, we see the aftermath of a battle with the whole town in flames. Now I'm not sure if this is the settlement Eivor and his companions set up upon arriving in England, because apparently there will be consequences to the actions you take during the story, or if this is just a settlement they invaded, but we get a quick close-up of Eivor's face and he seems to be tearing up a little bit, which suggests some sort of an emotional reaction of regret or anger, depending of course on what this settlement was. It would be kind of interesting to see Eivor react negatively to some of the stuff that the Vikings are doing to the villages and towns of England, because we saw a tiny clip of that during the cinematic trailer where he basically prevented one of his Viking companions from killing the women and children. To finish off, we get a closer look at our companion Crow, and he looks absolutely massive. I assume the Crow will also play a more significant part of the story this time around, since he's so prominently shown at the end of the trailer. It's kind of weird that after the closing credits, we just see this random shot of the Crow, which makes me think that he is more significant to the story this time around. But let me know what you guys think about everything I was talking about in this trailer. Hope you